Hey guys, it's One Matter here, back with another trade up video, and today we're not going to be doing a trade up ourselves, but we're going to be answering a lot of questions that I get asked a lot from some of my viewers or some of the people who are interested in doing trade ups themselves. As the new case just came out a few days ago, I've been doing a shit ton of trade ups. I made like $80 or something in profit, and a lot of people are interested in how exactly the trade up math works, so I've decided to make a video answering most of those questions, and I'll be doing that in this video. So first thing I would like to explain is what float is. Right, so let's take an example about the float, which is an AK-47 Fire Serpent, one of the rarest skins in the game. Float is basically a number between 0 and 1, like this chart right here indicates the float. It's a number between 0 and 1, which indicates how worn the gun is, the skin is, right? Which means a factory new one, anything between 0 to 0.07, it means that it's not worn at all. Like it's very little, or like so barely worn that you can't make it out. And it keeps going, 7 to 15, 15 to 38, 38 to 45, and 45 to 100, like in terms of percentage, like all of these numbers that I said. 45% or more worn is battle scarred, right? So it depends on how much percentage it's worn between 0 and 100. It can be any number in between. It can be like, it doesn't have to be a number, it could be a decimal thing, like 78.1756% worn. That would put it under battle scarred. 8.756% would be minimal wear, similarly, and so on. So yeah, all guns have something called as float ranges, which means all guns can't have like any possible float. Like in this example, the AK Fire Serpent, the best float that it could possibly have, or the lowest float, is a 0.06 minimum wear, or the best wear, okay? And the maximum wear, or the worst wear, for the AK Fire Serpent is a 0.06. Now this varies from one skin to another. For example, the USP Neo Noir could be a pixel perfect factory new in a 0.00 float, but it could only be up to a 0.7 battle scarred. It can't go worse than that, right? So let's come back to the Fire Serpent, and if you guys notice, the factory new only ranges from 0 to 0.07, and the Fire Serpent is capped at 0.06, which means a factory new Fire Serpent is super rare. Stat track or non-stat track doesn't matter. A Fire Serpent in factory new is super rare to get. So that's why a lot of people try to do Fire Serpent trade ups, and that's also why, if you notice the prices, like the prices isn't even visible, it's obviously not on the Steam market, but yeah, if you notice the prices, it's literally more than double the price of a minimal wear. Although the minimal wear is like comparable to a field tested. It's obviously more because it's better looking, but it's comparable, right? But a factory new is double that of a minimal wear because it's so fucking rare as hell. And similarly for the stat track ones, everything like is kind of comparable. Like this is a little bit of a gap, but nothing compared to this gap. Look at the gap here. It's literally almost triple the price, right? Right? That's because Fire Serpents in factory new are rare as fuck. Right, but that's not true about these skins. That's not true about these skins, which are from the new Spectrum case. That is true about some other skins though. Like a lot of skins are super rare to get factory new. Every single glove skin is super rare to get in factory new, for whatever reason, like because Valve made them that way, right? So I just told you guys what float is and what float minimum and float maximum is. Let's call this, from now on, let's just call this the float range, okay? 0.06 to 0.76 is the float range of an AK Fire Serpent. 0 to 0.7 is the float range for the USPS Neo Noir, and so on for whatever skins you get, right? Now let's come back to the trade up spreadsheet. As you guys just saw, 0.06, 0.76 are the minimum and maximum floats possible for the Fire Serpent. Like This example is for a fire serpent again. The float range is basically the minimum minus the, I'm sorry, the maximum minus the minimum, not the other way around. The maximum minus the minimum. And this is basically a formula for, it helps you with the trade up. So like the green stuff, whatever is in the green cells, like they're an automatically changing kind of formula thing. So as you guys could see here, equals C3 minus C4, which is exactly what it is. So don't try changing them because like they're already plugged in to do what they're supposed to do. Only change the stuff that's in white. Okay guys? Yeah, now what is float of target item? Now if you're doing a stat track factory new fire serpent trade up, or a normal factory new fire serpent trade up, whatever, it means that the worst possible float for the fire serpent that you get should be 0.07. It shouldn't be worse than that, because if it is, it's minimal wear, right? So that's what float of target item means. Now if you're doing some other trade up, not a fire serpent trade up, but like some other random trade up, and you want it to be minimal wear only, you don't want it to be field tested, in that case float of target item must be 0.15, because anything worse than a 0.15 is field tested, and that's what your float of target item should be. Okay, so now given that the float range is what it is, and given that you want this float at worst, what's the average float required for the 10 items? 0.01428. In this case, the 10 items would be either op graphites or P2K ocean foams. They'll either be stat track or not, depending on what trade up you're doing. And it doesn't matter, like the formula is the same for both stat track and non-stat track. You would need a 0.01428 average float for all the 10 op graphites or P2K ocean foams, whatever you're using, right? Now, of course, so many people just only do 10% trade ups, so I've like added in a little bit extra stuff for you guys who only do 10%. Let's say you don't manage to find a really good float op graphite. Let's say you're only getting a 0.03 op graphite, right? So that's float of item from the respective collection, okay? From the Bravo collection in this example. So what would that mean? Like that would, you would assume that would mean you would need to lower your average for your other 9 items, right? So yeah, indeed that is true. From a 0.0142 you go to a 0.01253. So that's the average you would be needing for the 9 other items that you're going to be putting in the contract, whatever collection they are, doesn't matter. The average float of them should be 0.01253 or better if you want to factor in your fire serpent. So anything in yellow also changes. No, wait, this thing changes automatically. This thing, it's up to you, like you gotta change this. Anything in green, don't try changing because it's not a great idea. But yeah, this one in yellow you could change if you want to, depending on what the one item float is. Like that's what you're going to put in here, and this will automatically update, telling you what the 9 other float should average to. Alright, now let's come to the formula itself. Like how does all of this work, right? Let's say you put 10 items into a contract, whether it's stat track, not stat track, does not matter, it's the same formula. Let's say the average of all of those 10 items, the float of all of those 10 items is X, let's just say. And the float range of the item you're looking to get, float range of it, which for a factory new fire serpent, for a fire serpent in general, is 0.7. It's the maximum minus the minimum. So that we already have that here. And let's say that is Y, right? For any trade up that you're doing. Like you won't be doing fire serpents all the time. Like nobody's got that kind of money. And the minimum float for the target item that you're looking to get, let's call that Z, okay? So for a fire serpent again, that is 0.06. So the target float, that means the float of the item that you're going to get if you get that item. So in this example, that means the float of the Fire Serpent if you get the Fire Serpent. If you get the Deagle Golden Koi and you rip, all of this is going to change. But if you do get the Fire Serpent, the float of it is going to be X multiplied by Y plus Z, right? So the average float multiplied by the float range plus the minimum float, right? If you guys have any questions regarding this, feel free to leave a comment in the video or tweet at me. I'll leave my Twitter in the description as well as this Google spreadsheet, of course. So feel free to ask me. Not a lot of you will get this the first time. That's okay. Perfectly fine. I didn't get it either. Alright, so let's go into the particular trade up that I did, which was 2 times 30% for the USP neon wire. Alright, now we gotta change the values 0 and 0.7, right? So we gotta change up these values. Let me do that real quick. 0.7, 0.00, and the rest of the stuff automatically changes. Now this 0.07 right here still remains the same because I wanted to make sure that whatever I do, I get a factory new neon wire. I don't care what float it is, as long as it's factory new. That's the only thing that I want. Why? Because look at the price difference. Again, the same thing. $37, $47. So field tested and minimal wear, there's a little difference, but from a field test, from a minimal wear to a factory new, there's almost double. Like the price almost doubles. So I don't want to get cocked and lose half my $92 and sell it for fucking $47. I don't want to do that. I want to get the full $92 value out of it, right? Right? So that is why I left this at a 0.07. Now, I put all of the floats, like all of this stuff is loaded directly from the Steam market. Like I can't even, there's no way to buy these skins of OP skins yet. The case has only been out for like 3 or 4 days, and you would need to have the item for 7 days in order to become tradable. So there's no way that any of these skins are actually going to be listed on OP skins already. So all of this stuff is from the market, and I use an extension called Steam Wizard. I could show you guys at the end. Steam Wizard basically loads all the float values for you on the market, and it even kind of grays out. Like all of these are field tested CZs that I used, and as you guys can see, this is slightly less gray, this is a little more gray, and this is even more gray than the second one. Why? Because Steam Wizard does that for you. Steam Wizard is such an amazing extension that the lower the float or the better the float, the lighter the color of the background that you will see. So in this case it is a 0.166, which is the best CZ, followed by this, followed by this. So I was pretty lucky to get 3 low float CZs and even like quite a few low float Famuses. The Famus after image, which is the filler skin as they call it. Yeah, so because I was lucky enough to get 3 field tested CZs, I could afford to use 1, 2, 3, 4 minimal wear Famuses instead of factory new ones, which means I had to pay that much less for my trade up. Right? So, and even in minimal wear, I got pretty good float ones. Look at these 3, they're like pretty amazing floats. What? Are these 2 duped or something? Did I get 2 duped Famuses? That's really funny. If I got 2 duped Famuses, that's actually funny, because I just bought them all from the market and I copy pasted the floats. I didn't give a shit whether they were duped or not. They're just going into a fucking contract. I don't care. So it's actually funny if I did. But yeah, I got 0.07, 0.08, 0.07, and a 0.099, which isn't that great, but it worked out for me. That's all that's important. And we had a fucking market bot sniper, who was basically botting the market for all good float filler skins. So I was lucky enough to get these 2, but I couldn't find any more good floats, so I had to settle for like a shitty 0.059, even though it doesn't matter to me, because even with that, my USPS neon wire would be a 0.069. which is factory new. Like, as long as it doesn't go above 0.07, I don't care what it goes to. Right? Cool. So this worked out for me, but it won't always work out for you. So unless you know what you're doing with your trade up, don't get really bad float filler skins, okay? You might get fucked and get like a minimal wear whatever skin you get in your trade up. So I get so triggered when that happens. You have no idea. Like, I get so triggered when people rip trade ups, or even people overkill trade ups. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, why should I go for a 0.04 or 0.03 USP when all I want is a factory new? Like, when either people fuck up the trade up and get minimal wear, or if people overkill their trade ups and go for a 0.03 USP, I get so triggered. It's really annoying to me. I don't know. So anyway, let's get back to the video, which is, yeah, average of 10 above skins, which is simply just the average of them all. And my USPS Neon Wire, if I hit it. If I don't hit it, it won't be this float. Like, if I hit the AK Bloodsport, it won't be this float. If I hit the M4 X-Ray, it won't be this float. If I hit the USP only, it will be this float, right? So how did this float get calculated? Look up here. I13, which is this, which is the average of the 10 items, which is X in this case, multiplied by C5, which is this, the float range, 0.7 in this case, right? And plus C4. What is C4? It's the minimum float. It is Z in this case. Minimum float in this case is just 0, so it doesn't really make a difference if you add it or not. But yeah, I'm using the exact same formula here as I used here, right? So the USP, if I get it, would be a 0.069, and I actually did get the USP, so it was this exact float, right? So as long as it's factory new, I didn't care what float it is, so I just sold it on the market anyways. I wanted to sell it before the price crashes massively, right? But yeah, if I hit the AK Bloodsport instead of the USP, it would be a much better float, because the float range is slightly better, right? So let me actually check. If I got the AK Bloodsport, what float would it be? So I gotta change this to a, no, not this one. I gotta change this to a 0.45. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's changed. So I changed this to 0.45 because that's the float maximum for the AK Bloodsport. Everything automatically changes. I didn't change anything else. For the exact same 10 skins that I used, I would end up getting a 0.044 AK Bloodsport, right? But yeah, I don't care what float AK Bloodsport I get as long as it's factory new. And I know for sure, based on my experience and based on the fact that the USP has a slightly worse float average, that if I get a USP in factory new, I will get the AK as well in factory new for the same 10 items. So I already knew that beforehand, so I didn't bother to check. I only took the USP. Let me change this back real quick. 0.7. There we go. Alright, so if I get the USP, it would be this float, and if I get the AK, I just showed you what float it would be, 0.4 something, right? So yeah, that's about it for the video, and I hope all of you watching learned something and will not rip any trade ups due to uncalculated floats and stuff like that. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the video or tweet at me. I'll try to answer as much as I can. Don't worry. And yeah, hoping that this video results in lesser ripped trade ups and lesser overkill trade ups as well, like I told you before, right? Hope you guys learned something, and hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I'm Juan Mata. I will leave the links to the Google Doc, my Twitch stream, my Twitter, and all of that good stuff in the description. Feel free to follow me on all of that if you want to ask me a question. And I will see you guys in my next video. Peace.